but we are here. And we are making a really cool dish today. It is a Korean inspired dish that I learned from one of my favorite, or my new favorite YouTube channel celebrity people, the Korean vegan, and we're making Korean tteokbokki. I'm probably saying it wrong, tteokbokki, and it is basically spicy Korean rice cakes is what they're called. And I first encountered this recipe on her blog, which was the Korean vegan, and I tried it, and it is like my favorite dish. I cook it all the time. My partner doesn't like it too much, but I love it, so I'm probably going to eat the whole recipe today. So if you are new joining us here today, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. And stay tuned because we're going to start making this. So the main ingredient in rice cakes or tteokbokki is the rice cakes. So you may be thinking the little snack rice cakes that you get that are like crackers that you eat, and that is not what we're talking about here. So what you are looking for is something like this. So T&T is a big Asian grocery store near me, but you can probably get these at any Asian grocer, specifically a Korean grocery store, which is great. So these are rice cakes. So they're made out of rice, and they look like this. That is a Korean rice cake, not the crispy snacking rice cakes, but the Korean rice cakes. They also come in flat oval discs. I like both. They taste the same, but these are kind of easier to eat if you're using chopsticks. So I like to do these. So that is the main ingredient, and that involves also involves a bunch of veggies, which I'm going to show you, and then we're also going to make a sauce. So we're going to go ahead and get started on our other camera view here. There we go. So the first thing we're going to do with our rice cakes is we're going to prepare them in a bowl with some sesame oil. So this is about just under half a pack. You can cook them from frozen. I've done that many times, but I wanted the cooking to go fast today. And I went to the grocery store, so I have a bone to pick. If there's anybody watching from Farm Boy, the company, I went to your store and they did not have sesame oil, so we are improvising with their sesame ginger vinaigrette, which is accidentally vegan, and it has a strong sesame flavor, so I'm just going to use it because this is the only sesame oil that we're using in the recipe. So you can always improvise with that. And I see my aunt has joined the chat, my Aunt Trudy. I don't know where anybody is today, but I'm glad you're here to help me make this Korean dish. And actually, this is the same dish I made this live on Instagram months ago, and I think my aunt joined me there as well. So you want your rice cakes in a bowl, and you're going to pour a little bit of your sesame oil on. Again, we're improvising with this sesame dressing. So you just want to toss them in it, and it'll help soften them up a little bit and moisten them. These are a bit dry because I've had them in the freezer for a while, but they don't usually look like that. So then you're just going to put those aside and let them soften up. If you do them from frozen, it's just that your cook time will be slightly longer. It really doesn't make a difference for flavor. And then we're going to get our veggies going. So these are one of these really awesome recipes where you can just use whatever's left in the fridge. I don't know how authentic it is, different vegetables or whatever it is, but I always just throw whatever I have left in the fridge, which is why I love this recipe. And then that sauce just flavors all of it. It's a very flavorful sauce. So you can use any veggies, hard veggies that you have. I don't use tomato and soft veggies, but you can use any harder veggies that you have. So for us, we have some broccoli. And again, you want to cut everything so that they're kind of the same size category as your starch. And then we also have some chopped up mushrooms. We have a little bit of yellow pepper. We've got green onion. This is going to feel like a lot, but it all cooked down. And then we also have a tiny bit of carrot that I had left. And I just noticed a little piece of weird green onion. I'm going to take that out. Okay, so we're going to let this cook down. I have it on max, but you want to cook this at whatever temperature we'll cook them. I'm just trying to go quick for our demo here. so we can get this cooked and then I can eat it. So now we are going to do our sauce. So basically we're going to let all these veggies cook down. We're going to create our sauce, which is really flavorful and spicy. That's why they call it spicy rice cakes. And then we are going to put it all together and let it simmer down. And then there's another really cool ingredient at the end we're going to add. So, oh, Trudy, I don't know who else is watching because I can't see the name unless the person chats. So if anyone's watching, say hello to my aunt. Now we're going to do our sauce. So there's 2 special ingredients that you might not have at home that you're going to need. And I'll show you up here. So one is called gochujang, and it is a fermented hot pepper sauce. It's not super spicy, but there's a bit of spice in it. And I use this a lot for this recipe, but I also use it just in stir fries if you just want to make a quick sauce. And then I also made, you can check my video on my channel, I made a couple weeks ago, some spicy cheese fries, and it had a kimchi gochujang topping, so you're going to need that. And then you're going to need some Korean chili flakes. So this is horrible. I don't know if these are Korean, but I was told by the store clerk that it's basically the same thing. So it's a different kind of roasted chili flake. But if all you have are the traditional dried chili flakes, go ahead and use them. So those are the only 2 kind of weird ingredients. Otherwise, you just need soy sauce and maple syrup. So let's make that together now. And we'll stir our veggies. Hopefully the sizzling is not too loud and you can still hear me. But I just want to get these cooked really well. But I still might turn it down a bit so I don't embarrass myself and burn food on a cooking demo. All right, so now we have our chili flakes. And if you like it spicy, you're going to do 1 tablespoon. And if you like it less spicy, put less than a tablespoon. So we're going to do a tablespoon in our bowl. And then the rest of the ingredients, it's easy to remember. You're going to go 1 tablespoon of chili flakes and 2 tablespoons of everything else. So I'm just turning the heat down again too. So how do we want to do this so that it's less messy? Let's put, so you got soy sauce or tamari, so 2 of that. 1, 2. Don't let your spoon fall in your bowl like I usually do. And then we're going to do 2 tablespoons again of the, it's upside down, the gochujang. This is a really big container of it, so you can buy a really small one if you're not going to use it. But I bought a really big one because I love it. And I'm making a huge mess of my fingers. I probably should have used my spatula. So there's our chili sauce. And then 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. So that's how I remember it. 1 of the dry and 2 each of the wet. There we go. And I'm going to get rid of all this drippy, messy stuff. So now we have our sauce. We're going to mix it. You are going to have to mix it pretty well because the chili sauce is going to be hard to stir in. We've got our veggies cooking here. And if you need to, you can add some water. It's probably going to be loud just to help that cook. You don't want to put too much oil in there. Or you can use a cooking oil, whatever you like. But I have a non-stick pan there. So we're just stirring this up, and you can see it does kind of clump together. But it should be just fine. And once you cook it, once you put it in the pan with everything, it's not going to really matter how well you stirred it, but it's nice to get it all stirred up. And you can see how nice and glossy that is. It's going to be amazing. So one thing you can do as well with the spice is put less in and add more at the end. But just know that usually chili flakes, if you add them at the end, are going to be more, or less spicy actually, because they didn't cook as long. All right, so this is looking fantastic. They are all softened up, and they will soften up as you cook them. So we're going to see how well we do on this demo, because you're going to cook this down with all the ingredients at the end until the sauce gets nice and thick. So you don't want this to be soupy. You do want it to be a thick sauce when the final product is there. And you don't need any starch to put it on because you have your rice cakes. That's going to be your starch. So no, you don't need actual rice. All right, so once your veggies are as soft as you'd like them, and again, remember that they are going to cook down even more when we cook the stuff, we're going to then add our rice cakes right into the pan. And we're going to mix them around. Now we're going to add our sauce, and you're going to see this sauce is really great because it goes a nice dark red color. So you want to get all the sauce in the bowl, or in the pan, I should say. You don't want to lose any of that flavor. And again, like I mentioned, I've turned the heat down a bunch because you do have a sugar in this from the maple syrup, and you do not want that to burn. So make sure you're cooking, once you add the sauce, you do turn the heat down. Again, I was going fast to keep this demo shorter rather than longer. So once everything is coated, then we're going to add about a cup. I'm going to put a little bit less than a cup because I'm worried it's going to get too watery. And one thing actually I'm going to show you, I'm noticing it here. Let's see if I can focus. If you see this film here, I've made veggie broth from a bouillon cube. But one thing you need to be aware of if you're watching your oil is that these bouillon cubes have a ton of oil in them. So if you're someone that's concerned about oil, make sure you get a natural broth, or you can just get dried mushrooms and soak it for a mushroom broth. But that's something that always amazes me when I make bouillon cubes, how much oil is in them. So just watch on that. So I'm gonna put about half of a cup of the liquid here, but you do want to let it cook down until everything thickens up. So there we go. We're going to let that, I'm going to turn that a bit up again because now we have the water in it and I want it to thicken up. So again, if you're watching this and you have a connection to Korean culture, I apologize if this is not authentic. Again, the recipe that I got this from was called The Korean Vegan. And then there's another woman, I really love her recipes. The blog is called Cheap Lazy Vegan, and she's Korean as well. And she makes awesome, awesome Korean recipes. I just love the flavor of the gochujang, which again is a fermented chili paste. You can mix it into a lot of stir-fry sauces. It's delicious. And then one thing that was an addition, which I was super excited when I saw this recipe. And you can make this just the way we're making it now and let the rice cake soften up. But if you really want like a really satisfying, delicious treat with this, you're going to add another of my favorite foods, which I eat like every day, which is ramen noodles. So this goes in the end. You just cook these in advance, so you may have to make sure they're already cooked. And then when the sauce, which you can see is going like crazy, when the sauce is all thickened up and just about ready, you're going to add your ramen noodles into it as well. And it just makes for a mega delicious meal. So we're going to add those in. And hopefully this will thicken up for us enough that the rice cakes are soft. That's why I defrosted them as well. I wanted them to cook a little bit faster. I can't believe how delicious this is. One of my favorite things. If this seems weird to you to eat, it is so, so good. And if you like spicy, you'll love this. So we're going to let this, it's already thickening up a bit. You can see the sauce thickening up, but you want it to get nice and thick. So there we go. So the last little bit of prep for this, you're going to plate this up in a bowl. It's easier to eat, and you can eat it with chopsticks or a spoon. The chopsticks are nice because you can kind of grab a rice cake and like scoop it up. So the other thing that you're going to need for topping for this, and I think no one is going to be shocked, but I'm going to put my everything bagel mix sprinkled on top. I put that on almost everything. But some sort of toasted sesame seed on top is really going to bring out the sesame oil flavor. And again, we didn't use a lot of sesame oil, but we want that flavor in there. And then you can make any dish look delicious with chopped green onion on top. So that's how we're going to plate this up. So let's check out how thick the sauce is getting. And it sounds really hot, and I might burn myself when I eat it. So you can see now the sauce is really getting absorbed. I'm going to turn the heat right off actually because I think we're done. And I can feel sort of a bouncy texture in the rice cakes, and then you know that they're soft and ready to go. So I think because I defrosted my rice cakes first, I didn't need as much liquid. Originally the recipe calls for 1 cup of broth, but I only used about half or 3/4. So that's what you want it to look like, where you have not a lot of liquid and it's getting thick. And I'm just going to reuse my bowl. It does have a bit of the sesame oil still in it. And we are going to attempt to plate this without making a giant mess live on camera. But you just want to dump that in. Again, I will probably eat this whole thing over the course of the evening. So, I don't know about you. This is horrible lighting, folks. I apologize. But that just looks so delicious to me. You can't see the color very well on camera, but it's a nice red sauce to it. And you can see the rice flakes in it as well. So, we're going to put our green onion and our sprinkle. So again, I always say it, even though you're just cooking for yourself, you really want to focus also on how your dish looks. Again, you want great flavor, you want nice texture, you want things that you're eating to be the same size so you have good mouth texture, but you also want things to look good. That'll help your dish taste even better, even though it seems silly. You're cooking for yourself, you still want to take care for yourself and make sure that it tastes delicious. So now is the taste test. This is a much better lighting for this. Oh my god, it's so good. I'm smelling it right now. Okay, so I'm gonna get, let's see if I have some chopsticks. I'm not an expert on chopsticks, but I do like trying to practice using them. So again, you can just grab one of these, and I'm gonna try to get a broccoli in there because I love broccoli. There we go. So blow on it very well because I had like turbo cooked this at high heat. So it's going to be pretty hot. So good. So the heat doesn't come until a couple of bites, couple of chews in. But right away I could get the flavor of the rice cake, and it's hard to explain. Like it's not going to taste like rice. The texture is really awesome, and then I get a bit of sweet from the maple syrup, and then the heat comes in, and then you have the onion flavor, and then the crispy little sesame seed texture. Really one of my favorite dishes. You got to try it. It sounds weird, but the bag of rice cakes was only $3 or $4, and I usually use maybe a third of the bag whenever I make it. And then if you buy the smaller gochujang, which is the Korean fermented chili paste, you can use it in other dishes. It's really good just to liven up a stir fry. And then you can just use your regular chili flakes if you don't want to buy too much special stuff. But it's really affordable just to try something different. Try something from a different cuisine. So, I still have to chew. I'm going to eat this whole pan when I'm done, but definitely try it. And again, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. And if you have a few minutes, please go ahead and watch any other video on YouTube. Helps me beat those YouTube algorithms and get more views on all my other stuff. So I'd really appreciate it. And I appreciate you all logging in all the time and supporting me on my silly vegan cooking demos. So this is Christine from The Plant Life signing out. What do I usually do when I leave? I just say bye.